Hey there, Berries. Welcome to patch 10.22, the last patch of Season 10, which means you've got 2 weeks if you're watching this video when it goes live to get the rank that you want before the end. There will be some sort of ranked play after Season 10 is over, but you won't get those end of season rewards. So if you want to get the end of season skin, you need to hit gold 4, and you also get some additional bonuses if you hit tiers above that. And I think they're making it so that there's more chromas for the end of season champion, which honestly I've forgotten which one that is. So let me know in the comment section below what the end of the skin is at the end of the end of the season is, the Victoria skin. So there's been quite a few support changes for this one. There's been a significant brand change and a significant Annie change. Those are reflected in the tier list. I can tell you both already that if you are familiar with the tier list, Annie was in tier 5 and the brand was in tier 4, and as you may be able to see already, that where are they? Well, they are higher up, but we'll go through the list as always. Just a side note, if I do seem a bit down in this video, I've got like a massive headache, I think attributed to my sinuses, so I'm doing my best to persevere through this one, and hopefully I can get the information that you need out there to get that that gold plus reward that you're looking for. Now tier 5 hasn't changed too much. There should be no surprise. Annie obviously, as I mentioned, got removed, but apart from that there shouldn't be any, anything there that's a surprise. Don't play any of those champions there if you actually want to climb in solo queue. In the tier 4, if you've been watching the YouTube channel over the past couple of weeks, we've been playing a lot of Pantheon support and some Gragas support. Gragas I've put down from tier 3 to tier 4. I feel a bit bad about that, but it's just something that I think has potential, but I don't think is enough to encourage people for this end of season push. So I put it in tier 4. If you play a lot of Gragas, say a lot of Gragas, then you could probably make some good out of it. But at the moment, wouldn't recommend for this end of season push. Maybe he will be a little bit better or more OP as support with the new item changes coming in. Pantheon, as I mentioned, I've been playing a lot of him. I was considering putting him up a lot. I know he's been played a lot at Worlds, but honestly, like, just to put the nail in the coffin, like whether or not I was right or wrong about Pantheon. Pantheon can definitely get you some cheesy kills in lane if you are pairing up with your AD carry appropriately, and like ideally both on voice chat and just like initial engaging like as soon as possible. In solo queue, that's the strongest thing, and it's like hit or miss whether or not your AD carry follows up on that or not. And after laning phase, he falls off huge. Like it honestly becomes like really depressing to play probably around about 15 minutes onwards in an average game, because you will start feeding. You'll try to make engage plays. It's basically you're trying to play Leona at that point, because the damage isn't as important on the Pantheon around about 15-20 minutes onwards. It's all about the engage, and if you want to do that, then it's just like Leona at that point. And Leona, yes, she hasn't got quite as much damage in the laning phase as a Pantheon support for sure, but like she does the engage just a lot better, and provides more crowd control and more tankiness from that mid game onwards. So if you've been having a lot of fun with Pantheon but maybe not having as much success, then have a look at something like Leona. Like seriously, like Leona, even at Worlds, usually don't, you say like pro play correlates much to solo queue play, but Leona is probably the strongest tank support being played at Worlds at the moment, and that's, even I've been saying it for like months now, like Leona is the strongest tank support that you can play at the moment, and yeah, just play Leona, honestly. Anything else there I really want to mention? You got some AP poke champions there, but as we mentioned, brand is something that we could start potentially looking at for the last 2 weeks. Also there's Seraphine. Probably should have mentioned at the start of the video. Seraphine will be released. I'm not sure if she's getting released on Wednesday or during the weekend. Last year, Senna was part of like the whole World's release thing, and they waited until I think it was the Sunday to release her. They did it during the games, so whether it was on a Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember. But there's a good chance that Seraphine will be only released on League for the weekend, which means you have about a week and a half to try and pick her in ranked through all the bans and stuff. So Seraphine, there isn't an icon for this, but I'll mention her when we get to there. She's not tier 4, she's much higher than that. Going up to tier 3, as you can already see, there's the Annie there. Any other dramatic changes? No. I was considering putting Senna down, talking about Senna, into tier 4. But I think there's just enough cases for her to be viable. Like if you're playing with an AP carry, if you're going up against enchanters, Senna's generally okay. But pretty much anything else, Senna's just going to have a really hard time. So yeah, wouldn't really recommend generally in most of your solo queue games, but it is like a nice niche pick if you want to fill out your the champion selection a little bit. So the Annie change, if you're not aware of it, Annie's shield, her E ability, can be applied to allies. However, mana cost on that is going up slightly, and probably the big one that hasn't really mentioned is that when you used to press E on Annie, with your Tibbers out, Tibbers would also get the shield. Now Tibbers won't get that shield, so there is a nerf to that as well. Tibbers won't be quite as strong. Now it's difficult to say if this is going to be a huge change or not. I did move her from tier 5 to tier 3, which in itself is pretty dramatic anyway, but still in terms of like the solo queue meta, I think if you have experience playing Annie a lot, like nobody has really played against Annie for like maybe a year, maybe 2 years. And if you're like the only person that's been playing like Annie mid, you can probably pull out a few surprises here, as you'll know the damage numbers more than anyone else. Nobody in bot lane has played against an Annie in like, I don't know, man, like 4 or 5 years or something. My mind, like, I don't know, I can't remember when Annie's support was last played. And they did increase her auto attack range in a patch this year, I think, just to try and make her into a little bit more into that support role. So it's a really big question mark here how much that shield is going to influence the lane. I guess if your AD carry is being the focus target as opposed to yourself, when they hit the shield, they'll take damage themselves. That might help you win a trade a little bit. But like you can only choose one of you to have the shield, right? So one of you is not going to have that speed up. So if you're getting ganked, you're going to have to choose between yourself or your AD carry to save. So it's not like you're going to be able to save each other from situations like that. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. It's a really weird change. I think it's an interesting one to shake things up a little bit. I think I'm going to keep her at tier 3. I wouldn't be surprised if she's tier 4. I would be surprised if she ends up being stronger than tier 3 though. But I will give her a couple of goes in solo queue. If you see a video on the channel, have a look at it and then form your own opinion from that as well if you're too scared to play it in solo queue. I'm not 100% sure about this change. It's very difficult to pin down, and it's been an extremely long time since I last played Annie support, so I think tier 3 is probably the safe one and probably not worth the gamble unless you've played Annie a lot in your solo queue games. This patch also will have there's a Yuumi in tier 3 here. She had a bug last patch that we didn't talk about, that she wasn't stacking mana flow band. So if you notice playing Yuumi in last patch 10.21, mana flow band wasn't working on Yuumi. Now it should be. So I don't know if you maybe have been feeling bad about Yuumi lately. That's probably why. But she's still tier 3. Anything else I really want to address here? Not particularly. We've gone through all of these champions a lot of the time. Trundle support we're keeping at tier 3. I've had still success with Trundle support. It's kind of crazy how it's been working out. Only pick that into tank support and ideally a tank top as well, so you can make your team fights a little bit easier in terms of A, you being tankier, and B, the tanks being much more squishier and easier to deal with. Particularly with like the Orns and the Cyan top lanes that are honestly quite common. So like your AD carry won't have a chance of like killing them, or anyone on your team really killing them by the mid game, but while they were still waiting for like Last Whisper and those type of items. But the Trundle basically makes it so that you have like a Black Cleaver on your team like permanently on one target. So it's an extremely valuable tool to help you in those team fights. And also like the pillar has some like really cool interactions. Like I had a Poppy jungle in one of my games, and just being able to like do an extra bit of terrain for the Poppy to bash into was actually really cool. Like I don't know if you'll ever have a Poppy jungle in your games, but it was a pretty cool, like, you know, interaction with the Poppy. And like if you're also playing, talking back to the Cyan, if you're up against the Cyan, the Trundle pillar will actually make it so that Cyan hits it, and rather hits doesn't hit your team, so you can protect your flank with that as well, which is pretty cool. I'm sure there's a couple of other interactions there. If you're really quick with reflexes, you can stop enemy dashes, and you can interrupt things like Thresh Lantern as well. Like if they click the lantern and you quickly pillar them, they'll actually get booped off. So yeah, I mean, if you are wanting an off-meta pick, that's probably your off-meta pick. And Seraphine, no, she's not even tier 3. She's actually going to be going up into tier 2. I don't have an icon for her. No icon for Seraphine, unfortunately. But Seraphine, I think, is tier 2. So we did her on PBE. We played her in 3 different roles. We played her in mid, AP carry, and support. I by far felt most comfortable doing her as a support, and I felt like her playing as AP carry was probably like the next best thing, and mid felt like a bit meh. Since we did those games on the channel, they nerfed her AP ratios a little bit, which kind of cements her more into that support role. What I'll say is she felt much nicer when she was going for cooldown reduction as opposed to flat AP, which kind of like definitely like cements it into that support role. I thought her wave clear was okay. It wasn't anything like crazy special, but I thought it was okay. But like the base numbers in general are kind of low. The AP ratios now are even lower, so it's like the crowd control that she does provide is huge, and the W, which is a shield speed up, kind of like mantra shield from Karma. Yeah, it is just really good mobility as well. I wouldn't say like the heal portion of like the double cast on the shield is any good though, but you definitely will be playing her more like a, I want to say more like a Karma, but like you just don't want to like focus too much on the AP numbers. You just want to focus on getting that. You want 45% cooldown reduction, basically. Just get as much cooldown reduction as possible. You could consider maybe an Ultimate Hunter build, but it might be going a bit too off the rails there. But I think 45% CDR is going to be pretty awesome for her. And obviously once the new items come out, you can get past that 45% cooldown reduction as well if you have enough money. So you can, the chain CC that you can do with the E that you'll have is ridiculous. And honestly, everything else in the kit, her ulti is really good too, but the Q and the W aren't really that important. So let's talk about that's Seraphine anyway. That's enough of her. Another Seraphine's sister, Sona's still in tier 2. I think she's just okay generally, particularly a lot of the lower ELOs. I think Sona's just a really stable pick anyway. AP Lux, that is there in tier 2. If you want to play Enchanter Lux, then maybe probably tier 3. You know, Lux is AP Lux. I've got plenty of videos on the YouTube channel for her, and she's just generally always done pretty well for me. Blitzcrank as well, another very strong lower ELO pick between the irons and the low plats. You can sometimes pick Blitzcrank in high ELO, but he's generally more seen like between like iron and gold, just because, you know, he's a bit of a good, like a noob stomper, catching people out, generally hooking someone equals they die. So particularly during that laning and maybe mid game, you can tilt a lot of people by making some good roaming plays and hooking people. Zyra, I guess, you know, with these couple of adjustments, you know, there's a lot of mages on the same tier level as her, so you kind of need to think about what you need. Like AP Lux would give you more damage. I'd argue that Zyra gives you a little bit less damage. Better if the enemy team has more tanks with their Leandries that you'll be picking up. And a tiny bit more of reliable crowd control, should I say, as you can, if you look at my Zyra guide, you can change how you put the seeds down as you're doing the cast. So even if you miss your route, you can get some slowing plants down on top of the enemy champion, just to give yourself a little bit more maneuverability on the crowd control there. Nami, solid tier 2 pick as well. Back again, you know, from the iron to the plats. I think you can even do like generally okay in some games in Diamond with Nami. Kind of like a jack of all trades, but I think there are better enchanters in the tier 1 that you can consider playing. Brom is still, you know, a really good pick. It's a shame Lucian is being banned a lot. He generally gets paid more for mid, but you know, if you can get a Lucian down on the bot lane, Brom Lucian is obviously the strongest combination, as you'll get your Brom passive off as quickly as possible. You can also, like, there was a Halo Blades Brom build played at Worlds, which I'm going to investigate, just so that you can get your passive stacks off a little bit quicker. I'm not too sure how that's going to turn out, but maybe if we're up against someone squishy, we can pull that kind of cheesy build off. Now we've got Brand that we talked about briefly. He's been moved up from tier 4 to tier 2. I'll go into more in depth in him in a second. I want to talk about Karma real quick. She got moved up from tier 3 to tier 2. That buff that she had last patch was pretty good. I'm feeling really happy about her, and I think a lot of Karma mains should be pretty happy with where Karma is at the moment. I think she's definitely a solid tier 2 pick, and definitely something to look out into for playing in your solo queue games. Probably the most, out of in the tier 2 here, probably the most consistent champion that you could play in no matter what elo. So her poke harassment in lane is really good. You can provide a lot of escape tools, should I say? I can't think of the right word, but you can escape quite easily with that mantra E and get out of ganks generally quite nicely. Also, you know, try to use mantra W whenever you can, which is the tether. You'll actually get healed by that tether if you do the mantra W. So it is something that you should consider doing, as I see a lot of Karma mains neglecting that quite a bit. They just kind of only do the mantra Q or the mantra E, but mantra W can be pretty good on single targets. It saved me a couple of times, and I believe it also increases the route duration as well on that W. So it is worth doing if there is one target that you really need to pin down. And it works quite nicely with Caitlyn, because like we talk about sometimes about how Morgana and Lux does really well with the Caitlyn trance, but if you can get that tether off and actually route the target, then it's a really easy Caitlyn trap as well. Now Brand tier 2. Alright, I'm just going to do a little disclaimer here. I have not played Brand on the PvE, but I have taken the time to look at some videos. So the Brand changes, if you're not aware of, the passive damage explosion got nerfed by 2%, but has better AP scaling. In the support role, this means very little. Generally, it means the explosion is a little bit weaker, but we've got some buffs here. The E is now always AoE, and if the target is already ablaze, then the AoE range of the spread is doubled. And honestly, the spread range on the E is already pretty generous already. So he's going to be able to poke a lot easier in the lane just by E-ing a caster minion at the backline. Is going to set generally both the support and the AD carry ablaze in the lane. And also the other change is the Brand ulti can now bounce onto yourself. So if it's just you and the other target and no minions or any champions, you can like use your body to like bounce off extra charges, which is very similar to Nami W, like how you can bounce off the wave of Nami if there's no other allied champion nearby. So very similar to that effect. Now, as someone who's played Brand a lot, particularly in Season 8, Season 9, the main reason why he fell off was because of his damage. on the passive got nerfed, and his passive damage is getting nerfed again, but I think it's okay because of the utility from the the conflagration, I think it's called, that the AoE spread is now on permanently. Because what you used to have to do is, if you wanted to spread, say for example if you were playing like Brand mid and you wanted to AoE a wave, you would have to do the single projectile onto a minion, then you would have to E that minion to spread the fire, and then you could do W, which is the Pillar of Flame, I think it's called, and that does an extra 25% damage to targets already on fire. Now you don't have to you basically, with the E change, you're skipping that Q step, which is pretty good in terms of mana efficiency. It's going to help you push in the lane, both for good and bad reasons. So you're going to kind of have like the Tristana syndrome, where like you're going to be wanting to harass, but you're going to be naturally like pushing in the wave no matter what, as you will be constantly eating the wave. So you are going to be more vulnerable to ganks. But the damage from Blaze is still going to be really annoying for the enemy. Plus it's going to be really, really easy for you to stack the Spell Thief's Edge, even against like tanks. So if you can get in range of like just the minions and just E-tag and then run away, you're going to get 15 gold for hitting the champion with your E ability, but then you'll get another 15 gold for hitting a passive. So you shouldn't have any issues generating gold stacks from Spell Thief's Edge at all as Brand now. But as I said before, you will be naturally pushing in the wave relatively often. I don't know in terms of like what kind of effect that's going to have in helping your AD carry last hit as well. It could effectively make it so, like for example, the caster minions go down to such a low HP that the turret will just one-shot the caster minion. I don't think that's likely, but it's just, you know, some things to think about in terms of like where it's gonna be. But in team fights, just being able to like AoE everyone on fire straight away is going to be do wonders for everything in terms of the rest of your kit. So in terms of team fighting, Brand's going to be stronger. I'm just going to be wondering like whether he's going to be end up playing more mid now as opposed to support, because and maybe even like jungle. I mean, this is a slight jungle buff as well. It means you'll save some mana on doing like the raptor camps and stuff as well, as you won't have to like mess around with your Q and things like that. So yeah, it's once again, it's a difficult pace to put him, but I think he is going to be stronger. It should be easier to, you know, to get the Spell Thieves. Dark Harvest stacks as well should be a tad easier as well. So yeah, just make sure you're getting those wards in for the enemy jungler, as I think what's going to happen is that you're going to be naturally pushing quite a lot. That's all I want to say is, but he should be stronger after this. Damage will go down slightly on the passive, but I think this, you know, you should be poking, harassing a lot more now with your E ability. Oof. Sorry, that was a lot longer, and I probably repeated myself a little bit too often there, but hopefully that clarifies some of the stuff on Brand. Now, finally, the best champions at in Season 10, in my opinion, for the support role has not changed for the last God knows how long. We brushed a little bit on Leona when we're talking about Pantheon. I think I've been right about this one for a really long time. Leona is the strongest tank in support tank in League of Legends, and she has been for quite some time. Lulu is getting a nerf this patch on her Glitter Lance on the per levels, but on Lulu support you're maxing like, well, you're doing a few points in E and then maxing W, then maxing E before you're putting any more points in Q. So I don't think any support Lulu cares about the change going on to her. It's more hitting the top lane and mid lanes that we've been seeing primarily because of Worlds. So Lulu in those solo lanes has been nerfed for the mainly for the wave clear, I think it is, that they've done that for. Soraka, Janna, Bard. I should probably add that Bard should only be played in Plat Plus, I think, in the nicest possible way. I don't think anyone is going to have the 99.9% of people aren't going to have the mechanics to play Bard in Gold ELO minus. You're going to be messing yourself up. But once you start entering Plat, look at Bard. It might be able to push from Plat to Gold if you just kind of one-trick Bard. He's just ridiculously strong. I've got plenty of videos on my channel if you want to see what runes I take or how I kind of play him. And I think he's always been my consistent champion. Like, if I was to choose one champion to one trick, it would be Bard, just because of how game altering his ultimate can be with that AoE stasis. Janna is probably one I would consider as well one tricking if I could have the mentor to play her. I do find her incredibly boring, but I think she's very good in every ELO, honestly. The amount of times that you lose lane because you outplay yourself is huge, and Janna kind of like, you got some free trades there with the W, but like Janna basically makes it so that the enemy outplays himself a lot and just gets himself killed by overextending or doing stupid things. So the power of using the enemy against themselves is huge, and Janna is always been really good at that. And Soraka is a solid, I would say, silver, gold, plat pick in terms of enchanter. Her poking harassment is really good. You could probably play her actually from iron to plat. Her Q harassment is really good. Just put a few points in Q for harassment, and then max your W, and then finish off maxing your E. You don't need to put any more points in Q after 2 or 3 points. It's just there for lane harassment and just some extra regen in the laning phase. But yeah, that's your tier list for this patch, the last patch of season 10. I hope you all get what you want out of the this season. I wish you all the best, and do let me know in the comments down below on what the Victoria skin is. I can't remember at all. And let me know if you've been playing Brand or Annie, and tell me if I was right or wrong about those two champions. I mean, those two are going to be the biggest unknowns in the tier list. So Brand could end up being super duper OP and being in tier 1, or he could be in more like in tier 3. But I think I'm generally putting him in the right areas with as little information as we have to go on, especially at the end of the season. And keep an eye out on Seraphine as well. She's going to be banned a lot, but if you can pick her up, her crowd control is crazy. Have a look at the PBE Seraphine video that I've done if you want a quick glimpse at what she does. The ult T is Ari Charm times 1,000,000. it's stupid. But yeah, I hope it helps you out. And obviously I'll be doing more tier lists as well through the preseason. In December, Wild Rift, the League of Legends mobile game, comes out in December here in Europe, and I'll be doing footage on that and guides on both League and Wild Rift for the entirety of 2021. That is my plan. I don't know if I'm doing Wild Rift videos on this channel. I might have to consider making a new channel, but I hope you guys are excited about Wild Rift like I am, and I'll see you on both the rifts, I guess. So take care. Bye bye. Stay safe and stay very awesome. Bye bye.